Here we go. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining me and Mr. J for afternoon tea at SME. This is in lieu of coffee with the principal because morning coffee time didn't seem like it was a good, we didn't get many people that were able to join us. So we're shifting to afternoon tea at SME. I'm Mrs. Jones, the super proud principal. There's a small but mighty group here with us, so you let me know if you guys have questions. You can totally use the chat box as well, but just let me know if you have questions, and then at the end, I'll have time for question and answer also. And then this will be posted. The recording will be on our YouTube channel, and the slides will be on our website as well. So you'll have both of those accessible to you. So, pretty much the same agenda as we always have, just what's happening here at school, some updates in terms of health and safety protocols. I know that's really on everyone's mind, first and foremost in the front. So getting some updates out to you guys about that and making sure you know what's going on and how to stay connected with us. And then, like I said, some time at the end for sure for question and answer. So I just took a couple snapshots of some photos that we've had from the last few weeks here on campus. In the top left corner, Mrs. Cruz is rocking it in kindergarten with her kids right there, excuse me. They're working on how to turn and talk to a partner, a really fundamental school skill, which is great. And then moving across to the right in the middle, we've just got some friends wearing San Miguel red on one of our Fridays. So that was a fun little way to capture their school spirit. And then moving along on the top on the other corner, my friend Nate the Great, who's doing some art that he's super, super proud of. We have a lot of classes really focusing in on making sure kids have practice with art and lots of those things that we weren't able to always do on Zoom. So that's exciting to see. And then on the bottom left, you'll see our safety patrol officers practicing. I don't see Josiah in that picture, Jennifer, but he definitely is rocking safety patrol, and they're out there in the morning and the afternoons helping everyone cross the street safely over by Mercury. And I'm so proud to say that we are in year 2, Stallion Station's up and running. Our student leaders are just absolutely amazing. They come up with the idea for Stallion Station every week, who they're going to interview, what they want to say. They help with the production. In the first one where they kind of bombed me in the courtyard and said, "This is our show," which was so funny. That was completely their idea. So they run the show. It's such a great example of student leadership. So lots of really, really great things happening here at school. Just a few pictures to share with y'all. As you guys know, we are a Leader in Me school. I always make sure to plug this when I'm in front of families, because I hope that you're talking with your kiddos about the habits. They should be well into their conversations with you about what's happening in class with the habits. We'll be having another leadership day this year. I'm not sure if it'll be virtual again, but definitely we'll be hosting another leadership day. And that's a great way for you guys to make sure that you're talking with your kids about school is talking about the habits. So always want to make sure, like I said, that I get to share that information with families. Just a reminder about school attire. We still have had some kiddos come and coming in their uniforms from previous years, which is fine, but uniforms are not required. We also encourage folks to wear San Miguel red on Fridays. We're in the process of selling new swag, which is great. If you haven't ordered, we will send that order form out again. It's a Google Doc, or I'm sorry, a Google form. So we have 2 new styles of shirts, which I'm excited to see kids in. We've got that up and running until the 24th. And then I've had a lot of parents ask, well, how do I know, what my kiddo should and shouldn't be wearing to school? If I had to sort of summarize it in a phrase, it's just making sure that the clothing is safe and appropriate for PE and for the classroom. That's kind of the most common sense answer that I can give. And if you have more questions, let me know. There's more specifics in our parent handbook that was sent out to you guys, but just really making sure that whatever you're sending your kiddos to school in is safe and appropriate for PE, recess, and the classroom. Just a couple reminders. Let's go into health and safety. This has really been, like I said, on the forefront of everyone's mind right now. So some of this information is duplicated, but just as a reminder that all of our staff that are unvaccinated, they are required to be tested every week. It is a hard line requirement. A lot of parents have been asking about that piece of it. So all of our staff that are not vaccinated or have not submitted proof of vaccination, they are required to be tested every week. And then students with parent permission have the option to be tested once a week. Again, very much an optional thing for students, but we have had quite a few families wanting to participate. I'll get into the details of how to go about that in just a minute. But we have to make sure that if students are on campus, they are healthy, and this is a great way for us to be able to do so. We are not able to have any staff and students on campus who are not healthy, and we refer to that as being symptomatic or having COVID symptoms. And yes, there is a laundry list, and it includes fever and sore throat and headache and nausea, and I'll have a list of the symptoms up in a minute. But if any staff or students are present with any of those symptoms, we can't have them return to campus until they're symptom free and have a negative COVID test. So it's just a really hard line that we have to follow, and it's not our favorite thing to do, but it's the most one of the most powerful ways that we make sure that students and staff are healthy. Testing is free. Our testing on Tuesday that's on campus is free to staff and students, so there's no cost, no insurance required either for families. I know I've had some families ask about that, but no insurance or payment is required. And then all of our testing is done with via an outside vendor. And they just last week started to share results with families that have signed up digitally. You get a text message and it says your COVID tests are available. You log into the portal and it tells you whether or not the student has tested negative or positive. And the way that they interpret that is, was COVID detected or undetected? So for example, when I opened my test results from last week, because I'm choosing to get tested every week, even though I'm vaccinated, it's a choice that I'm making. But when I got my results, it said undetected. And I was like, what does this mean? And I looked further down and it said that meant negative. So it's detected or undetected. And some specific details about testing. I did put the link in here. We've sent it out via Dojo and our newsletter. We will keep sending it out. We're really trying to encourage families to use the online portal because that's how you get the text message with your child's results. So that's really the best way to go. It does take about 3 or 4 minutes to register. I do it every week and it does take some time, but you can do it from your phone. So that's a little bit easier than the computer. But we ask that if parents are going to test, preferably people sign up via the portal. And then our on-site testing day is every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 11. We have access to a list of all the students that have registered. And so we make sure that we get them in there during that window. And for now, unfortunately, testing must still be done every week. I think the long-term plan is to have kind of a one and done level of consent where families can just sign up once and their kiddo can come every week. But for right now, it is once a week. I know it's a pain, but it does take just a few minutes to sign up. So we're encouraging people to remember to do it every week. There is the link. I did actually spell it out so that if you're, in front of a computer or want to write it down, that you can. It is right there. https://lgsd.testscheduler.net. So Jennifer, do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, with that being said, I know because of HIPAA, but if there is somebody that does test positive in the classroom, will they stay in the classroom or do they just stay on campus?
That's a great question. So we're required to send 3 different notifications if a student or staff member tests positive while on campus. The first one is to any student or staff identified as a close contact. Those families get a personal phone call from me, as well as a notification saying your child is a close contact. And then there's instructions in terms of quarantining. The second notification is if there's anyone in the class that is not a close contact. So for example, if we, when we do all of our contact tracing with our district nurse, if we determine that only, a quadrant of the class is a close contact with a student that tested positive, we still notify the other 3/4 of that class. Hey, someone in your class tested positive. And then the third notification is that I let all staff and students know, for the sake of transparency, someone at San Miguel has tested positive. You are not a close contact if you're receiving this, but just for the sake of transparency. So those 3 letters go out.
So those are the words, close contact. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the Department of Public Health identifies a close contact as someone who has been within 6 feet of the individual for 15 minutes or more cumulatively within a 24-hour period, regardless of whether or not they were wearing a mask. Okay. Great question though. So yeah, every time we have a student that's tested positive or a staff, those 3 letters go out. But if there is a family who has a student that's a close contact, I call them as well, so that it's not just a letter.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for asking that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So again, if you are interested in having your child COVID tested, it is optional, it is weekly, it is free, and it does require a weekly sign up. And this is the way to do it right here. All right. Just a couple reminders. We have a lot of hand washing routines here on campus. Students wash their hands after they eat, after recess, after lunch, after they use the restroom, after they sneeze. So we have lots and lots of options and structures for kids to use hand sanitizer and wash their hands. We also have multiple outdoor hand washing stations around campus so that kids can pretty much wash their hands from anywhere they are before going into the classroom. I've had lots of families say, how can I support this? And I just say, like, YouTube videos on hand washing, especially for our little ones who are still kind of figuring it all out. So just making sure that you guys know we are asking students to sanitize and wash their hands throughout the school day. And then indoors, all staff and students must wear a facial covering unless there's a medical exemption or unless they're in a space by themselves. For example, if you look at Mr. J's screen and my screen, we are both in a space by ourselves. My door is closed, his door is closed, so no masks are required. But if there are students or other staff members present, everyone has to wear a mask while inside. And I have to say, it's been amazing to me how kids have just picked this up, no problem at all.
They're so responsive, and if you just walk in and they just have even on their nose, we just give them a little tap and they are right on it. So this has not been an issue at all, even a little.
Not at all. Yeah, definitely. And Mr. J works at Lemon Grove Academy Elementary as well, so he's speaking from both sides of the coin there. But even our littles in preschool, our 3- and 4-year-olds have been fantastic. And then outdoor students and staff, it's optional that they wear a mask. I have to say, I'm also surprised at how many students are choosing to wear a mask while outdoors, but it is optional. And based on the most recent guidance we've received from CDPH, it sounds like they're going to be revisiting that in the next month or so, just as a precautionary measure. But as of now, we are following the Department of Public Health's guidelines.
And we have plenty of masks. So even if your kid gets their mask wet or dirty and they need a second one, just let them know they can get as many masks throughout the day as we have. We have plenty for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, as you guys know, this is not anything new. It's the same as we were doing in hybrid, same as we've been doing all year. We do an active health screening in the morning that includes a temperature check. It's at the student's classroom door, or if they arrive late, it's at the front office. And we ask students a series of health questions, which look like this. I know it's a lot of text, but I wanted to make sure that you knew what it was. So we ask students questions, and we do a visual check as well in terms of if we see any symptoms. So for example, this morning I was in a classroom, and at the door, the student came up and was coughing and had a runny nose. And I was like, hey, buddy, like, let's go to the health office and get you checked out. So we're really diligent when they first come in and throughout the day to be monitoring their symptoms. And kids have been very transparent as well if they're starting to feel sick throughout the day or have a runny nose or have a cough. So I think everyone's really cognizant of what those symptoms look like. So I linked in a couple resources here for families to take a look at. The first one is the district's COVID frequently asked questions in English. The second one is in Spanish. Once I post these slides, the links will be live. But if for some reason you're interested right now, if you visit the Lemon Grove District website, which I've linked right here, and then click on parents, and then click on coronavirus, I literally copy and pasted these links right from that section. So if for some reason you're looking for this before the slides are posted, that's where everything is right there. So the frequently asked questions in English and Spanish, and then there is a copy in there of our health screening questionnaire, just so you can see the questions that we're asking students when they come in the morning and the symptoms that we're looking for. So I want to make sure you guys know where that stuff is as well. Any questions before we move on from health and safety? I feel like we talk about this all the time, but I really want to respect that we have your babies here at school with us. And I want to make sure that you guys know how we are taking care of them. So, okie dokie. So now just making sure that you guys know kind of how to get involved, how to stay connected with us. We are really trying to be very active about sharing information on a variety of platforms. So our school's Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, Class Dojo, as well as kind of our school dojo, which if you're not familiar, looks like Facebook, which is great. And then we do post everything in terms of what we record on our YouTube channel. So those are always available and should have the most up-to-date resources. Our school's website also is always a great place for everything San Miguel. So want to make sure that you guys know that pretty much if you go to one of these, you're going to get the information. Some people just have different preferences of how they access it. So, and then just for some upcoming events, there's a school board meeting on the 14th, excuse me. There is a school board member, Dr. Javier Ayala. This will be, the 14th will be his first official meeting as an active school board member. And then we have back to school night on September 15th. It's a little bit later than you are used to having it, but it's because we wanted to be mindful of all of the other schools and their back to school nights that were scheduled, so we weren't doubling up. So being mindful of people with kiddos at multiple schools. And there will be information coming out from me and from classroom teachers on Friday about the back to school schedule. And then we are still moving on with our leadership awards. We do them every month, and the 24th will be our first month of leadership awards this school year. It does have to be a recorded thing. We're not able to have folks on campus still, which kills me because I love having people here for leadership awards. But we'll do a presentation in the students' classroom, and then we'll also make a video so that families can celebrate with their leaders, which is always a fun thing to do. And then our next afternoon tea is October 13th. So those are kind of the big ticket items that we have coming up in the next month or so, along with all of the great things that are happening at school every day. Safety Patrol and Playground Partners and Stallion Station and Kindness Club got up and running this week. Leadership Club, or now we're going to call it Student Lighthouse, excuse me. Our Student Lighthouse team will be up and running by the end of the month. So lots of great things happening as well. And that's all of the Charlie Browning I have to do right now. That's all of my blah, blah, blah. Mr. J, if you have anything to throw in.
No, it's just we have such a great time with your kids, and the
Oh.
day goes by so fast. When I was just talking to a parent about this, that, we get them in the morning, and by the time you guys are picking them up, it just feels like we're just getting started. So it is. I'm happy that it's the beginning of the year because we have a lot of fun stuff to do and work that we're going to be diving into.
Absolutely.
Thank you for trusting us with your kids. We are really happy to have this job.
For sure. So at this time, really, if you have kind of gotten your fill of information and want to head on with your afternoon, very much okay. If you want to unmute and ask any questions or have any conversations, we're happy to hang. If you want to use the chat box, but this is your time now to ask anything or get any more information, or if you're done, that's okay too. So this is your guys' time now for anything that you need.
I think that was pretty good.
Okay,
Thank you. Until
awesome.
the next one.
Until the next one. Thanks, Jennifer. I'll see you later.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Miss Aranda, do you have anything, any questions or anything? And if you don't, that's fine too. Anything? I saw you unmute for just a moment, so I'm not sure if I missed anything.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.